Good day, everyone. I had to think about whether I say morning, afternoon, evening, just looking at the attendee list. Very impressive to see we have colleagues and partners from all over the world and all time zones. Welcome all of you to today's webinar. Thank you for joining us. Today's webinar is about Saudi Biotech, investments, partnerships, and market access. My name is Mundhir Al-Hakim, and as the exhibition director of Bio Middle East, I am incredibly excited to kick off this conversation. Today's session will cover a lot, but we will try to squeeze it all within 1 hour. We'll begin by a very short opening statement by me, followed by presentations from our two esteemed speakers, and then we will have questions and answers at the end. With us, we have Dr. Sara Arif, who is the Director of the Office of Biotechnology and Life Sciences from the Ministry of Health, who are spearheading the biotech transformation in the Kingdom. And we have with us Professor Ahmed Al-Judai, who is the Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Smimarco, one of the largest pharma companies in the region, and safe to say, the first movers when it comes to biotech transformation, especially with the recent launch of Smimarco Bio, which I will leave Professor Ahmed to speak about. I will start very quickly by setting the scene. When we look at Saudi Arabia today, we're not just looking at a country expanding its pharma or healthcare infrastructure or tweaking things. No, we are witnessing a deliberate, high intensity, sometimes from Tahaluf and Bio Middle East, I can also say high velocity creation of a global biotech hub. The target is clear. By 2040, Saudi Arabia is one of the world's biotech capitals. That's the target. And we've seen what happens when Saudi Arabia sets itself a target. And it's already happening. It's already transforming into a global biotech powerhouse. The national biotech strategy was only launched 2 years ago, and the real life execution witnessed already has been really impressive. And I think many of the international community and those who are witnessing this will agree. The Kingdom now offers international companies much more than just how it used to be before, just market access. It's building a complete ecosystem for manufacturing, biotech innovation, a complex or a seamless, you could say, sorry, not complex, a seamless framework and integrated framework, and large-scale clinical trials that are growing and rivaling established biotech hubs worldwide. And if you just look at the year-on-year number, you will see that the level of the number of clinical trials growing is enormous. So there is definitely a huge opportunity for all types of biotech companies and service providers in the sector to be part of this transformation. But as anyone knows, in this industry, this level of opportunity also brings complexity. And somebody who was with the Saudi Biotech Pavilion at Bio in America, in Bio Europe, and in other bio events around Asia, I mean, you can definitely say that Saudi Arabia made a huge impact, and it was definitely the highlights of these shows. I might be biased, but you know, ask a colleague if somebody, one of your colleagues, was there to have witnessed it. There was a lot of interest from international companies that want to get involved and be part of this, to support the transformation, to benefit from the transformation. However, there were a lot of questions around navigating, and this is something that we want to tackle today. And this is kind of a timely webinar post Bio in San Diego last month, because biotech isn't a sector where you can just drop a product into the market and hope that it works. No, it requires a deeply interconnected ecosystem, which requires aligning on international and cross-border investment. It relies on understanding the regulatory frameworks, localizing clinical data, and establishing long-term public-private partnerships. This is really important. As somebody from the UK, and maybe people on this call who are in countries similar to the UK, transformation is led by the private sector. Here, what I witness it's almost completely led by the government sector, and the private sector supports that transformation. And this is exactly why the way that we do business in this region has to evolve. We can no longer rely on transactional interactions. It's not about that one meeting you have with an investor in Saudi Arabia, or that one time you visited Saudi Arabia to explore a partnership. To truly unlock a market like Saudi Arabia, the industry needs a sustained living platform. And this is why we've built Bio-Middle East. We've built it because our goal was clear. Our goal was to not just put together another event in the air or another exhibition like the other bios, but now we've got one in the Middle East. No, we set it out to build a functional, year-round, multiple touch points platform designed specifically to support this industry's transformation and consistently help international companies and local and regional companies to navigate the industry. A platform like this acts as a catalyst. We've seen it before in China, maybe 20 years ago, where China Bio or BioChina was one of the catalysts that supported the China biotech transformation. But we've seen the power of a platform like Bio-Middle East and how it can help do those objectives. For us, the main objectives come down to three things: elevating connections by bringing international investors, biopharma leaders, and regulators into the same room; help companies navigate the market by understanding local regulations and infrastructure through our conference programs and our workshops; and ultimately to support fast track the entire business lifecycle. A platform like this, however, is only as strong as the ecosystem that it's aiming to support. And that's what brings us to today's session. For us today, the goal of this webinar is to give you a blueprint and help you navigate the Middle East biotech industry. Very clear. We have myself, the platform, we have Dr. Sarah, the government, and we've got Professor Ahmed, the industry. So three levels and hopefully three individuals that can answer the different types of questions you have. I'm very excited about the lineup of experts that we have. They are already being part of this transformation and leading it. I'll just set out some very quick housekeeping. Please use the chat on the side to write your questions. We will consolidate all of them and answer the questions at the end of the session. And please challenge the speakers, ask the questions that you have been thinking about, too worried to ask, and use this as a platform to help you get involved in the region. Thank you all for your time, and let's dive into our first discussion. I will hand over to my colleague, Dr. Sarah, and I'll give it to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mundir, and thank you to the Bio-Middle East Tahaluf team for the kind invitation. And thank you all for joining us from different time zones. It's lovely to see this gathering of partners and colleagues in the biotech community. So I think what I would like to share with you today is not just where Saudi Arabia is on its biotech journey, but why we see Saudi Arabia as an emerging, unique, and excellent platform to build and scale your scientific innovation, both in the region and globally. And I think Mundir touched upon the whole transformation that Saudi is currently undergoing, but let me take you back to where it all began, with Vision 2030. So Vision 2030 rests on three main pillars, and one of them is to build a vibrant society. What that means is that people live longer, yes, but also healthier and happier. And to do that, we have to shift the whole healthcare model that sits beneath that. And this is what the kingdom has fundamentally been changing. So a system that was predominantly built on treating disease is shifting to one that is built around prevention, around early detection, proactive care, and personalized medicine. And at the same time, the kingdom has been actively investing in digital health, in genomics, in artificial intelligence, and data-driven care. And these set up the foundation to have a system that is ready to adopt future innovation. And part of this transformation is the transformation of the MOH's role on its own. So healthcare delivery is now being led fundamentally by the health holding company and its 20 health clusters. Finance and reimbursement has moved to the Center for National Health Insurance. And MOH, as the sector regulator, focuses on strengthening policies, regulations enabling innovation, whether it's innovation in healthcare delivery, innovation in digital transformation, or innovation in research or life sciences. So we believe that ultimately this will shape the future of healthcare in the kingdom. And if we can move to the next slide, please. And building on that foundation of Vision 2030, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman launched the National Biotechnology Strategy in 2024, January 2024. And I think with that launch came a very powerful thing. We have the commitment of the entire government behind it. And when I think about it, I think this is one of our greatest strengths. And honestly, with a sector like biotechnology, this is not a sector that is built in years. It can take even decades to build. It needs consistency, needs coordination, needs a clear direction. And I think in Saudi, we're very fortunate to have this. We're governed, we're backed by a national biotechnology strategy, which sets a one government approach, gives us our targets and our aspirations to 2040. So by 2040, we aim to be a leading global hub and contribute 3%, which is roughly $35 billion contribution to non-oil GDP, and create 55,000 high-value jobs. And not just for the local talent, but also for international talents who wish to build their careers here in Saudi Arabia. And I think that brought us together, stakeholders of the whole ecosystem, not just regulators, but also the industry, healthcare professionals, innovators, researchers, academia, to focus on four main priorities: vaccines, biomanufacturing, genomics, and plant optimization. Now, how to turn that vision into reality? We know that we need to work across the whole value chain. We cannot focus on one component of the value chain. Biotechnology will only succeed if you work on all of them simultaneously. And that's from discovery all the way to patient access. And one of the main things that brings all of these components of the value chain together is regulation. So let me walk you through what we're building in each piece. When it comes to regulation, our Saudi FDA is now recognized as a WHO Maturity Level 4 authority. This is the highest level of WHO classification, and it now serves on the ITH Management Committee. So what does that mean? It means that we're not only aligned with international standards, but we're actually helping shape them. And in the past few years, we've seen the Saudi FDA introduce a number of accelerated pathways. The first one, the Reliance pathway, it's already reducing the timeline for clinical trial activation by 74%. That's from what was 270 days in 2023 to an average of 60 days in 2025. Breakthrough therapies, and most recently, the RAID designation pathway, the so-called Regulatory Accelerated Innovation Designation. And this actually is a program dedicated for promising investigational innovative therapies to provide them early enhanced support with a dedicated team in the Saudi FDA to help them move across. Moving on to research capacity and ecosystem growth. Of course, clinical trial research is one of the national priorities. And if we can move to the next slide, please, Lakshma. So over the past 2 years, clinical trials that have run in Saudi Arabia have grown by more than 50%. And we now have 13 dedicated clinical trial units across the kingdom. And I think what's interesting here is not the actual number of trials, it's the shift. Where we used to focus on late phase clinical trials, there's a shift of movement into early phase clinical trials. We have more sponsors trusting and having confidence in coming to Saudi Arabia and conducting their trials here. So this is a real reflection of our research capabilities and what we are doing to invest in our infrastructure. And for innovators, this means you have access to a large and genomically diverse patient population. We've got one of the most diverse and unique genetic population in the world. And we're investing a lot in digital infrastructure to be able to have a track and access to these patient demographics and patient data, whether it's phenotypic data or genotypic data, in a way that respects patients' privacies and international and local privacy data rules as well. So I've spoken about regulations, I've spoken about clinical research. What about my biomanufacturing? Next, please. And when it comes to manufacturing, it's really about long-term national capability. So we're investing in a strong biomanufacturing ecosystem. That doesn't only just focus on local capabilities, but also presents opportunities for global collaborations. So this means tech transfer, talent, resilient supply chains, and bringing these advanced therapies that we're having more and more of now closer to the patients who need them. And in the area of vaccines, we've seen strategic partnerships with global companies, including Lyfera's partnerships with Sanofi, MSD, Pfizer, and we're going further into advanced therapies with localizing gene therapies for sickle cell disease and rare genetic disorders underway. And I'll let Prof. Ahmed Al-Judai talk more about this collaboration as well. And most recently, we were able to in-house localize manufacturing of anti-CD19 CAR T-cell in the kingdom. And this is an incredible milestone that we're really proud of, because it not only increases patient access, it also leads to reduction of cost by up to 80%. Now, we've spoken about regulation, clinical research, and manufacturing, which set up the foundation of any growing biotechnology ecosystem. When we think about partnerships, we're not just looking for companies to bring in products into the market. We're looking to build together, whether it's through co-investments, co-development, clinical research partnerships, tech transfer. We believe that the greatest value comes from long-term collaborations. And this is exactly why we were at Bio International Convention for the last 2 years. While our first participation was about showcasing our ambition, our enablers, how can we grow together, and with attendance of over 25 participants from the governmental sector and the private sector, and one of the hugest delegations that went to Bio Boston. Our second participation at Bio San Diego actually showcased the private sector and how co-investment, co-development, tech transfer deals are shaping the future of innovation in the kingdom. And we're already seeing what that looks like and what the partnerships that we have built across the years are coming into. With partnerships spanning the areas of research and development, biomanufacturing, innovative therapies, digital health platforms, as well as innovation hubs, ecosystem development, aiming to support startups along the way. We do believe that this is only the beginning. We're proud of all the partnerships that have gone into real-world impact. We believe that there is more that can be achieved, and that Saudi Arabia has what it needs to be an attractive market for investment and more potential for growth. We've got an evolving regulatory environment that supports innovation. We've got a digital infrastructure that was heavily invested in. Nafis, our unified digital health records, holds health data for 35 million Saudi citizens. And at the same time, we have a high disease burden. Not only of, sometimes when you think about Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, you automatically think about rare diseases and high prevalence, but we also have a high rise of patients with cardiovascular disease, with diabetes, non-communicable diseases, actually a huge increasing burden. We've got a young population. Saudi Arabia represents a strategic regional gateway, and it connects 3 continents. Physical structure is something that we've built. We continuously are building together, whether it's GMP facilities, manufacturing facilities, or genomic sequencing capabilities. And of course, most importantly, talent. We've got specialized training courses. We have extremely talented young people who actually have been in pioneering universities around the world. And we have active attractions of global talent programs through the Premium Residency Program. So I think most of the innovations or the initiatives that we are working on are actually fueling what we call the innovation flywheel. And this is the essence of it all. If we have research and development, this will generate new innovations. These new innovations will improve patient access and create opportunities to scale, whether it's in commercialization or manufacturing, which will in turn attract more investments into this R&D. And our job is very simple. We need to keep this flywheel in motion, and we know what we have to do to keep it in motion. So with that, I look forward to welcoming you all to Bio Middle East this December in Riyadh, where we'll have the opportunity to continue these discussions, build new partnerships, and connect with stakeholders from around the biotechnology ecosystem. And for you who haven't visited Saudi Arabia yet, I really encourage you to do so. Meet our ecosystem stakeholders, researchers, healthcare professionals, regulators, industry partners. Meet them firsthand, because seeing is always believing. It's my absolute pleasure to hand over to Prof. Ahmed, who will share how partnerships like this turn ambition into real-world impact. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sara. We are getting questions, by the way, but we're saving all questions till the end. Over to you, Professor Ahmed. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sara. Thank you, Munder. It's my pleasure to be here with you. Special thanks to Dr. Sara for setting the stage. I cannot think of a better way to introduce for my 10 minutes talk that I will focus mainly on a case study Saudi Arabia, advancing biotechnology and advanced therapeutics, such as novel therapeutics, cell and gene therapy. So I'm going to talk about some aspects related to the Saudi Arabia's transformation. Dr. Sara actually has elaborated on this in detail, so it'll be to how we can improve the manufacturing capabilities here in Saudi Arabia, and how this aligns with the ongoing efforts from the government, non-for-profit and private sectors here in Saudi Arabia. So as Dr. Sara mentioned, the Vision 2030 long-term commitment to biotechnology resulted in the announcement of our national biotech strategy that was announced by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince in 2024, Dr. Sara mentioned. Then we'll focus on some national focus on innovation, localization, and capability building. Also, very good alignment with the government, be it Ministry of Health, Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Investment, local content, Saudi FDA, and others. Then we move to the development of a complete biotechnology framework, where we can actually work in order to execute the aspects and goals of our national biotechnology strategy, which pours into the one of the most important aspects of our Vision 2030, which is mentioned by Dr. Sara. Now, the biotechnology expected to contribute to around 34.6 billion United States dollars to our non-oil GDP revenue. So, in fact, the biotechnology not only impacts our vibrant society as one of the pillars of Vision 2030, but also it impacts our economy and diversifying our economy as one of the leading pillars of our national Vision 2030. The second thing is it will create around 11,000 high-quality jobs by 2030, and it aims to achieve about 55,000 high-quality jobs by 2040. We have 4 strategic biotechnology pillars. The first one is vaccines, biomanufacturing and localization, genomics in both of its arms, diagnostic genomics as well as therapeutic genomics. And the last one is plant biotechnology, which doesn't fall into the red biotechnology under the auspices of Ministry of Health, but it's very important for the whole biotechnology infrastructure and ecosystem. Now, it's very important to focus on how partnerships can accelerate innovation. The collaboration between government, academia, industry is extremely important. We really need an active research, and Dr. Sarah mentioned the improvement, the significant improvement from 2024 to 2025 in terms of the clinical trials. We can see also in the first half a significant improvement in localizing clinical trials, generating clinical trials from within Saudi Arabia. And this is very important. Biotechnology brings with it new innovative therapies where we really need to test this in clinical settings, be it phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3 clinical trials. Not only this, but it also helps in building capabilities through long-term collaboration with different government institutions. Now we have the Saudi National Institute of Health, which encourages establishment of clinical trials, but also we have other collaboration with the Ministry of Industry, local content, which is huge, which provides huge incentives for localization. Saudi FDA has also participated in this in improving the regulatory framework of localizing biotechnology. International partnerships are extremely important for tech transfer and know-how, and it's used as a catalyst for starting the innovation within the kingdom when it comes to biotechnological products. It's very important also to create sustainable value for all stakeholders. And we mean here by stakeholders, everybody, starting from the patient who will benefit from easier access, faster access to innovative therapies, government institutions, be it healthcare institutions or regulators, and also payers, as we recently have established the Saudi National or SNHI, Saudi National Health Insurance. The last thing is the technology transfer and knowledge transfer. This is also important in terms of partnership and collaboration between academia, pharma industry, governed by the regulators, and also for non-profit organizations. Next. Now, we currently have more than 36 strategic partnerships at SPIMACO Group between regional and global partnership. Around 6 of them are dedicated to biotechnology agreements where we localize not only biological agents, biosimilars, but also cell and gene therapy, which we recently signed at the International Bio Conference in San Diego, the first ever localization of gene therapy for sickle cell disease and beta thalassemia. And this doesn't include only supply and distribution, but also full localization of the gene manufacturing, gene therapy manufacturing. And we are currently working on multiple CAR-T cell therapy and more advanced second generation of the CAR-T therapies across different disease areas, including but not limited to oncology, hematology, as well as autoimmune diseases. We recently established SPIMACO Bio as the first dedicated biotechnology company toward manufacturing biopharmaceuticals here in Saudi Arabia and in the whole region. With the localization of gene therapy, we believe that this will position Saudi Arabia as a major hub for biologicals and pharmaceutical manufacturing in the whole region. We're working on active collaborations with universities here in Saudi Arabia, as well as research centers, namely KMARC and King Faisal Specialist Hospital, and also working with international technology partners in terms of bringing the best available technologies for localizing these therapies. Now let's talk about some of the manufacturing capabilities and how SPIMACO can support innovation, localization, and healthcare resilience. Saudi Arabia has published its first partnership for health sustainability and resilience, and I was honored to be leading this project recently in 2025, and with the support and partnership with the London School of Economics and the Work Economic Forum. The main aspects in terms of manufacturing capabilities, we have the best of its kind industrial infrastructure supporting biotechnology growth at our main manufacturing complex in Qasim area, knowing that this is the first ever pharma manufacturing complex. And we recently celebrated 40th anniversary, and we're expanding in terms of biotechnology and building a new cell and gene site where we will be localizing gene therapy hopefully within 18 to 24 months. So hopefully within 2 years, we will be producing the first ever gene therapy fully manufactured here in Saudi Arabia. And we're not talking about primary or secondary packaging. We're talking about full value chain manufacturing, including but not limited to providing the viral vectors and producing the fully gene therapy that can be administered to the patient in not only in Saudi Arabia, but also within the region. This is very important because Saudi Arabia is not only a regional hub for pharma manufacturing and hopefully biotechnology manufacturing, but also it's a hub for healthcare delivery. We have one of the best healthcare institutions in the world. King Faisal ranks among the top 30 institutions in the world. We have National Guard Health Affairs, and we have other medical cities such as King Fahd Medical Cities, King Abdullah Medical City, and King Fahd Specialty Hospital in the eastern region, where there are active centers for providing tertiary and quaternary care, including stem cell transplantation and CAR-T cell therapy. Also, Saudi Arabia's strategic location serves not only GCC, but also the whole MENA region, and potentially in the heart of the globe can produce agents that can be exported to Europe and Africa. Localization and supply chain security is extremely important for health and medicine security, and SPIMACO has the whole value chain starting from API manufacturing till the distribution and to the not only retails but also healthcare institutions. So we are the only company that has the whole value chain. We own the first and only API manufacturer here in Saudi Arabia, which is also important for biotechnology manufacturing. We aim to build a sustainable manufacturing capabilities for the next generations. Next. Now, how SPIMACO can support innovation and localization. Current existing capabilities, we produce around 3 billion units. In 2024, we produced around 2.4 billion units, and we have extra capacity, including more than 600 million units. And We're not talking about other manufacturing sites in the region. We also have huge ability to transfer the technology, and this is evident by our 36 different partnerships currently. Existing and active partnerships where we manufacture for multinational companies, including but not limited to Novartis, Roche, AstraZeneca, MSD, CSL Vifor, Bayer, and you name it. We are present in 20 different countries in MENA, and this gives us actually ability to reach different countries. In Saudi Arabia, we also work as contract manufacturer for all of these multinational companies. Pharmaceutical participation in our non-GDP revenue GDP. The last thing is the integrated pharmaceutical manufacturing capabilities. We currently have 3 different sites in Saudi Arabia, one in Dammam and one in Riyadh, so that we can build a vertical value chain starting from API manufacturing until the finished goods. Now, how can we enable the ecosystem? In the past, government regulators and private institutions or private companies used to work in silos. Now, with the Vision 2030 that was started in 2016, we have seen huge integration between the regulator and pharma industry, where we assure manufacturing excellence and also more investment in innovation and talent development, as we are going to train not only people from within SPIMACO, we actually train people from different companies and different landscape. It's called SPIMACO Academy. 70% of people are actually trained from outside the company, and this is our contribution to the ecosystem, where we provide the best Saudi talents to work within Saudi Arabia to drive this innovation further. Also, we have multiple strategic international partnerships, and we were able to localize the first and currently the only biotechnology medication, a biosimilar agent, in 2024. We also localized this year the second biological agent, aflibercept, and both are registered and marketed here in Saudi Arabia. In fact, our enoxaparin Indoza, as the first fully localized biological agent, is currently the main enoxaparin in the government as well as the private sector. We talked about the technology and knowledge transfer, where we work currently closely with Ministry of Health, the localization deputyship, where we actually work in order to bring more innovation and invest in building capabilities in our people so that they can actually lead the way in the future. Another issue is actually supporting the pharmaceutical localization. We have been working with multiple multinational companies since 1995, where we worked with Roche to partially localize the first biological agent, erythropoietin. But also we moved further to localize others, such as agents for anemia, as well as agents for other autoimmune disease. We also contribute to the Saudi Arabia's long-term biotechnology objectives by addressing the 3 out of 4 pillars of the national biotechnology. So we do have now about 6 different vaccines where we are ready to localize. We have multiple biological agents, and we have the first gene therapy to be localized. So we're addressing the 3 main pillars of the national biotechnology strategy. Next. How can we build the future together? Saudi Arabia has a very strong commitment to innovation and biotechnology, and this was evident not only by our Vision 2030, but by all the transformation programs that stemmed from it, including but not limited to the industrial transformation program, the healthcare transformation program, and others. It's very important to build sustainable capabilities building and also enough capacity, not only to serve Saudi Arabia, but the whole region. We talked about the international collaboration, but it's very important to address how we can improve the healthcare outcome time to receive the patient. So one of the major challenges for CAR T-cell therapy as well as gene therapy is the turnaround from taking, the samples from the vein of the patient until, we infuse it back to the patient. We call it vein-to-vein time. And vein-to-vein time will be significantly reduced. And this is very important, especially for those patients who have no other options outside the newer agents, talking about the traditional therapies, and they lost all other options. It's very important to be ready to prepare and manufacture these advanced therapeutics and bring them to the patient as fast as possible. The average cell and gene therapy turnaround time as we speak now is around 6 months, because we have to export our samples to be processed, re-engineered, and then sent back through a very lengthy process, and also the risk of cold supply chain interruption. Now, with bringing this technology and capability to Saudi Arabia, we can actually shorten this significantly and also increase the capacity for all of our patients. We have a commitment at SPIMACO for long-term investment in this space, and we believe that this will bring SPIMACO from the super generic leader in the region to a leader in biopharmaceuticals in the region and hopefully globally. Finally, we are calling for all global companies to collaborate with us. And the good news is that we have the Saudi Biotechnology Summit coming. We have also the Saudi Bio Conference coming this year. And we believe that this is a great place where we can meet, discuss any possible collaboration. As I mentioned before, we have several strategic partnerships, which we believe that it will create new opportunities for collaboration across the life sciences sector. And we believe that combining the national ambition with industry capabilities, we can actually work on enhancing the whole ecosystem and contribute to a resilient ecosystem that will deliver a lasting value for our patients. Next. With this, I end my talk. Thank you very much for the invitation. I would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Professor Ahmed. A very insightful presentation. And from both of our speakers, I think we had great perspectives. And I think there's a lot of questions that have come out of this. So I'm going to go straight into the questions, because I'd love to get through as many of them as we can in the next 15 minutes. I believe the first one is for Dr. Sara, just because of the context of the question, if you are with us. The question is, what measures are being taken place to speed up the process between departments in the SFDA and other government departments? There is a statement there. They're saying it's faster than it used to be. However, to achieve the goals of 2030, the speediness and clarity needs to, and the communication needs to be a lot better. So what are some of the measures taking place to help unify the process between the government entities in Saudi Arabia's biotech ecosystem?
you so much. I think this is a very, very great question because it all goes down to communication, to coordination. And honestly, we have seen in the last 2 years, or at least 2025 onwards, we've seen how this coordination and working on it actually gives us results. And maybe I don't want to say that this is continuous work, obviously, but I want to mention one example on clinical trials. So clinical trials is an area that we are all focusing on as regulators and as industry players, and we're all working to achieve the goal of making Saudi an attractive destination for investments in clinical trials. And if we just look at this area and focus on it individually, I think there's a lot that has been made in there that required us to coordinate. So I think we're reaching a point in time where if we don't communicate to each other, we're just going to be stuck with the slow timelines, with the delay in submissions, and we're going to see the impact of this on our positioning in the biotech community. So what I can tell you is that there's a lot that's been going on to strengthen that collaboration. We see it, we feel it, and it's only the start.
I just want to give a quick heads up. Professor Ahmed is going to have to leave the webinar shortly, but I'm going to try to get in one question for him. There was a question that's specifically to his presentation, which was around what you presented, Professor Ahmed. What are the opportunities for an international partnership with Spimarco? What are there specifically that you are looking for technology transfer? Because you mentioned this in your presentation, or contract manufacturing. So the question is, what does a typical partnership with Spimarco look like in practice? And how long does it usually take to go from discussion to an execution?
Great. So thank you very much for this question. Well, it depends on the technology that we are going to tech transfer. For biologicals, it's really quick because we have already localized 2 biological agents as the only company here in the region to localize them fully. And the average is around 6 to 12 months for biotechnology transfer. In terms of more advanced and novel therapeutics and such as gene and cell therapy, we're building our suite as we speak now. We expect it to be completed in 18 months, getting the required regulatory approvals, the validation qualification, GMP inspections, and others would take around 6 months. So we believe that in 24 months, we're ready to fully transfer our advanced therapeutics. However, in terms of other high potent molecules, complex molecules, we are actually the largest in terms of this. We have a high potent facility that is capable of producing up to 300 million units per year. We have already started our localization with AstraZeneca, and we have produced 4 different molecules. We also have our 2 molecules that we own that used to be produced elsewhere because of the lack of capabilities here in Saudi Arabia. We were able to localize these high and complex potent medications such as immunosuppressive, oncology medications, and antiviral specifically for HIV and others. When it comes to the other agents where we, the typical gene therapies, we have a very solid track record in localization, evident by our higher number of collaboration with multinational companies than all other companies. Currently, we have 32 different multinational companies where we manufacture their brand names here within the kingdom. So it depends on the type of technology and the readiness. What I'm going to say in short is that we are currently ready to localize from simple generics, complex generics, high potent medications, and biological agents within few months, once we, agree on the deal. When it comes to cell and gene therapy, we are hopeful that in 18 to 24 months, we'll be able to tech transfer them. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't start with the licensing, supply chain, market authorization, holder process, where we can have the medication readily available in the kingdom as we transfer the technology and manufacture it locally.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Professor Ahmed. Please feel free if you do need to head off. I know you had other commitments. We will, unless you are okay to stay, but it's up to you. We can then direct the remaining questions to Dr. Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Sarah, there is another question. By the way, I'm not going to go in order. Apologies if I'm not going in order, but I'm trying to sort of mix up the questions for different contexts. A question from William Dobson from an early stage company outside the kingdom looking to run its first human clinical trial in phase 1 or 2 in Saudi Arabia. What is the counterparty? Is the entry point the SFDA, MOH? Is it a hospital network, a national body that's coordinating all of this? And what is the realistic timeline from first contact to first patient closed?
Okay, firstly, thank you for the question. And I think it's very important for investors, innovators to understand how to navigate the ecosystem. And I think that has been ambiguous for a while, but we have our national regulator for clinical trials, the Saudi National Institute of Health, who I would be very happy to put you in contact with. Another avenue for exploring that is through our Office of Biotechnology and Life Sciences, that we can help you with the landing and with the soft landing into Saudi and understanding who to speak to, which stakeholders to interact with. Now, when it comes to the timing, I don't have a number on the top of my head, to be honest, but I know with the reliance pathway and with the current regulations and the IRB system, we have a separate body for IRB ethical approval. It's called the NCBE, National Committee of Bioethics. Previously, it took time to get these two approvals together, scientific approval and the IRB approval. Now you can do them in parallel. So I know there is significant reduction in the timeline from submission to trial activation or first patient in. I would get back to you with the average number because I don't want to give you the wrong one. When it comes to clinical trials, I think there's a lot that we are doing in terms of operational infrastructure and as well as regulatory infrastructure. And as I mentioned before, that this requires coordination from all the stakeholders. So the local content authority is working with us as well to try to make it more attractive to invest in early stage clinical trials. So I'm glad that you're thinking of Saudi as phase 1 and 2 trials and not late stage clinical trials. On the operational front, the infrastructure of the hospitals themselves and the clinical trial units, the actual forms that you get to apply for or to fill, they're being digitalized. We're working on having a hub that will have all of this digital forms and visibility in one place, and that might solve your single point of entry question. So I would say stay tuned. There's a lot that we're going to be announcing in Bio Middle East, and you can experience it there, talk to the right stakeholders there, and hopefully we'll have you registering your first clinical trial in Saudi by then.
Thank you very much, Doctor. One final one, and then I will do a closing. Apologies, we're not going to be able to get through to all of the questions, but as Dr. Sarah said, we'll have an entire platform and an event in December that I think all of those questions will be answered. And I'll tell you more about that at the end. We'll get through one final question for yourself, Dr. Sarah, and we'll close. Which biotech segments, vaccines, biologics, cell and gene therapy, diagnostics, and others, do you believe Saudi Arabia is already prioritizing or should prioritize? And what are the incentives that you or the government support or provide support to enable that these international companies to come and localize or connect with the regional or the local market?
I don't think there will be one area that is preferred or prioritized over the other, because as you saw, these are the priorities that we believe will help us achieve what we want to achieve in the future. Genomics is particularly important for our region because it's our gateway to personalized medicine. And we're investing a lot into genomics. I do think that this area and data infrastructure, linkage of genetic data to EMR records, is not something that can happen in a few months or in a year. One of the things that we are capitalizing on and what we believe we can move forward with in a quicker timeline is manufacturing. And you've seen live examples and real examples from Prof. Ahmed Al-Judai. We've got the infrastructure, the talent. There's a lot of partnership deals that are already localizing manufacturing of whether it's vaccine, insulin, biosimilars, biologics. This is already happening. When it comes to which therapeutic areas we want to focus on, and again, a lot of people tend to think that we're only going to go to the Middle East or to Saudi Arabia to conduct trials on rare diseases. But what we've noticed from talking to our pharma partners is that this is a competitive advantage, yes. But sometimes the number of patients that you have are going to be easily recruited if they're rare diseases. Whereas on the other hand, if you focus on non-communicable diseases, which are rising day by day in Saudi and across the globe, you need a more structured system for multi-center trials, if that makes sense. And this is what we're trying to fix. So again, Mundir, I think they are all very equally important. There are incentives across the whole way from R&D up to manufacturing. So for R&D, we've got the Research, Development and Innovation Authority, the Saudi NIH, providing grants that meet the priority areas and the national priorities, i.e. cardiovascular disease, oncology, and cardiometabolic diseases and rare diseases. When it comes to clinical trials, Saudi NIH does as well have funding for starting your clinical trial research in Saudi. And then when it comes to manufacturing, the Ministry of Industry and Mineral Resources offers incentives along the way for that to promote, to support local manufacturing. And an important player as well is the Ministry of Investment, where they will help you establish your investment licenses in the kingdom. So I hope that gives you a very, I touched upon it like an overview, but I'm happy to elaborate further on the incentives along the way.
Thank you very much, Doctor. That was perfect. I'm going to unfortunately have to close now, but I would like to close with this, that for all your other questions, please connect with us through the links that we've sent you when you registered for this webinar, and we will happily connect your questions or connect you to Dr. Sara and her office or to Professor Ahmed and Spimako. For everything else, I mean, just in general, these questions have all been brilliant. BioMiddle East is the platform that's going to answer all of these questions. You will have access to over 1,000 exhibitor brands, more than 300 global speakers who are all thought leaders in this industry, along with many of the local ecosystem. We will have the entire Saudi Biotech ecosystem physically exhibiting at the event, so that there's no way that you'll miss them. You know, it's not about visiting and trying to hope to bump into them. No, they're going to be there physically. So it will allow you to go in and navigate across the entire biotech ecosystem. If whatever you've heard today has made you interested to visit, please note that visiting the event is going to be free. It gives you access to BioMiddle East and to CPHI Middle East, all in the same place at the same time. The dates of the event, BioMiddle East in December, are the 14th to the 16th of December. If anything you've heard today makes you think you might want to join us and participate in the event and exhibit, I've put the website of BioMiddle East on the chat so that you can inquire to exhibit, and you can also register from there. Please follow our LinkedIn page, which I've also posted. And I do look forward to meeting all of you, hopefully, in BioMiddle East. I hope we were able to motivate you to join us. And in the meantime, please connect with us across all of our touch points. We'll all be running a few more of these webinars until December, and I hope to see you there also. We'll keep mixing up the topics. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thank you, Dr. Sara and Professor Ahmed, for your participation.
Thank you so much, Mundir, and thank you, everyone, for joining us and making the time today.
Thank you.